Hey everybody, it is the 12th of March, 2024, and this is Gimbalabs Playground. Don't call it work. We get together every Tuesday at 1800 UTC to talk about ongoing projects, big ideas, and the connections between them. So I'll share screen for just a moment here. This is a Miro board. It's public, and you can find it at gimbalabs.com/playground. It's embedded right in the screen. And this is where our sign up process happens. You can see a calendar. Today is March 12th. We've got a session called All About Games with Newman 5. And I'm going to hand it off to Newman in just a second to start the presentation. But if you've got any topics in mind that you want to talk about, the next few weeks are open. And all you have to do is drop your name or the name of your organization, the name of a session, and how to get in touch with you. I mentioned this a moment ago. The agenda usually looks like this. We spend the first few minutes just catching up, shooting the breeze a little bit. We just did a check-in round off air, and now the presentation will start. What kinds of presentations happen here? Sometimes there's product pitches. Sometimes people share an idea or something they're thinking about proposing at Catalyst, for example, and they ask for feedback. Other times, folks just start a conversation about something they've been thinking about. Often it's some combination of all of the above. So I think we might tend a little bit towards number 3 today, but there's also some real stuff we get to look at. So a tangible, ideas-based conversation, that sure does sound fun. One more time to reiterate, in order to sign up, all you have to do is find this Miro board. Once again, gimbalabs.com/playground. Drop your name into an empty slot, and that's it. You're officially scheduled. So without further ado, I'm excited to jump into this presentation. Before we do, does anybody have any questions about Playground? I just realized we have a few fewer people than usual, and maybe it's because of the time change in some countries. I know that here in the United States and Canada, we adjusted our clocks by an hour just to mess with everybody. But this meeting is pegged to UTC time, so it changes for us and not for everybody else.
Yeah.
Maybe some people were here like an hour ago thinking.
I kind of feel like maybe, but no worries.
Let's
It's always an adventure. It's just part of the game.
go deep.
It's like the game board just shifted by an hour one way. I definitely noticing it in the
Are
sky.
we pawns in this game? How do we name ourselves?
If you and thanks for giving me the opportunity to talk about this. As I started to research it, I did not realize how much games have been a big part of who I am and what I like to do. I made the distinct design decision not to include a picture of me from a Christmas when I was like 8 years old, like totally engrossed in a game and wearing Spider-Man underoos to boot. Um, you know, so but if you think about it, we've just kind of created a group and we're going on a mission. And I'm sort of in this whole idea of role-playing game. I'm going to play the game master. And if you look at the screen here, and I'm going to share the screen. If you look at the screen here, this is sort of our game board. Oh man, I just hit the wrong. I had a mouse click. Just had a mouse click go bad. Here we go. And so this is our game board, and I'm just going to kind of orient you to the map. There's some things that I don't want you to see just yet, and so you'll see that that's hidden by the game screen. But we just formed a group, so all the people that are here. I do want to mention at the top, our primary driver at Gimbalabs is to provide open, replicable, safe spaces to learn, explore, empower individuals and organizations anywhere so that we can solve meaningful problems. Now, that feels like a game to me. And it's an important game, super, super important game that needs to happen. But I just want to keep that at the top of mind. And James just gave us an introduction to the Gimbalabs Playground, and I'm sort of giving us an introduction to the experiment here. this little token, another game element to where we can see where we are playing the game, get this little star. That'll tell you where you're at. And in out of respect to every 25 minutes, we're going to try to have a little break to stand and move about a bit. And here's a game element. If you are the person to call out the time and put it in the chat, then you get a bonus. And at the end, the bonuses will be collected. So we're going to move through sort of a pattern. First, we're going to think about what games mean to us and a memory about a game. And then we're going to have a 5-minute breakout room to share that memory with folks. And then we'll put those memories into stickies and topics that we want to, and then we'll discuss those topics and have mini presentations. And at the end, we want to around 19:15 UTC, 15 minutes before the end of the session, we want to have time for closing and elegant next steps, as we like to say. So that is what we'll be doing. So, if there are any questions for about like what we're about to do, and actually, if someone could make a few breakout rooms, that would be cool. If we had, there are 11, so if we had 5 breakout, four breakout rooms, we would have groups of 2 or 3. And so, with that, I'm just going to set a timer for 1 minute and just quietly we're going to think, and you can write down notes because we're going to think about what games mean to us and how games in this space, and we're talking about on the internet and Web3, Cardano, that sort of ecosystem, and you can also sort of refer back to our primary driver. What those games mean to you, and then what you might wanted, what you might have wanted when your expectation for coming to the playground today about games. So here comes the timer. We'll set up a minute starting soon. There we go. 1 minute starting now. So we're about halfway finished. Just thinking about games, maybe when you were a kid, like what excites you about games, or problems with games, or maybe some of the negative thoughts or connotations around games or gaming. And we'll wrap up. Okay, so while those memories are fresh in your mind, I'd like you to take a random, we're basically rolling the dice and going into breakout rooms. And in those breakout rooms, just to split the time, we'll set a timer for 5 minutes, and we'll split the time to talk about your memories or your thoughts on games and what you might want to talk in the next for hour and 15 minutes. All right, can we get our breakout rooms?
Yeah, can I assign people randomly?
I think that would be a fun game element. We don't know. Only thing is if I don't know if it works out that way. If Santiago and Federico get in the same room, that would be good. But
If you're in the
ideally,
same room as people you know, we can re-roll. Let's see what happens.
nice.
How's that look?
I like it.
All right. Oh, you guys can't see it. There we go. How's that look?
Okay, inviting me to room, and so we'll stop and join. Okay. Oh, I'm gonna stop sharing my screen. Here we go.
All right, so everybody should be able to find the breakout rooms menu. Here we go.
No,
See if
it's
it's
just three of us. I think we rushed.
Oh, we might have rushed through, huh? Oh, let's see if we can call him back. I'll send a note to our host,
the ability
James.
to close breakout rooms.
I don't know if I've got it. It's great power comes great responsibility.
Let's see how long. But is it a timed room, as in like everyone gets kicked out, or as long as?
Yeah, you can start a 60-second countdown timer to close all rooms as the host or co-host.
Yeah.
I'm gonna send a note. Oh, actually, I can't even access James because I don't have the access to the participants. They're all just there. We'll have to wait until James comes back.
All right.
Yep.
We can entertain the YouTube live stream while we wait.
Yeah, hey, live streamers. That's right. So here we go. So this is now okay, I think I can share my screen still. Oh, okay, here we go. I'll share my screen. Here we go. So now we're in this. I think we were room 2.
Yeah, we have room too.
So the Conan was the first. So Douglas Weathersby was the kid down the street. Oh, geez, sorry if this is going out to the world, but who was a Dungeons and Dragons guy, and I was like, yeah, I don't get it, whatever, and he's like, you got to watch this movie, Conan the Barbarian, and I think there was like a sexy lady in it, so I was like, oh, okay, I'm down, and it just totally took over my brain. When James Earl Jones made that lady jump off of the thing, it crushed my soul. I was just like, oh man, this is the ultimate bad guy. And actually, it's a great little YouTube quote. They call it the paradox of steel, or the enigma of steel, or something, where he's just like, a sword isn't a big thing. It's the human power to like pull these people from the thing, which is which is a real thing out and alive in the world today. I mean,
Yeah.
anyway, yeah. So competition versus collaboration is sort of, or that grind. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like just uh, a dungeon crawl. Because my first sort of game like that was Telengard, which was just like it was a roguelike, you know, and you just it was real simple mechanic, and you randomly encountered this stuff, and if your hit points and armor and weapon was good enough, you could beat the critter and get some XP and some gold or some random drops, Um, all right, people are coming back. I asked to have been made host. We'll have to wait until James comes all the way back. But Pabon and Frederico, how did it go? The next thing now that we want to do is write down some ideas that you had, and put them into stickies, like stuff, that anything come up that you want to talk about. I guess that's the with the group. Here's some of the notes that I wrote down.
I'm not sure which was our room.
Oh, you could just put down Frederico's, and were you there with Sebastian?
Yeah. Sebastian, Federico, and Alex.
Ah. There you go. One of the things that we wrote down was that we came up with, like, persistent groups, going on ventures.
Yeah.
Oh, we also talked about. Oh, what? I. Oh, hey, Alex, how's it going?
Hey, Newman. Yeah, well, slowly.
Oh, that's
Uh,
cool. I'm glad you made it in. How's the
yeah,
weather? And Nicholas is here. Feel free. Welcome.
No- Oh, yeah. Hi, everyone. No, I just found out, I just saw it in Twitter. I used to do
Oh,
some
nice, man.
Gimbalabs activities like a year and a half ago, maybe.
Oh, wow.
Then it got harder to tune in, but
Right.
yeah, figured I would check what's going on.
Yeah, so basically
You don't mind.
we're at this moment we're writing down things um to that about games that we want to talk about. That that you're interested in, or a concern or a question. Um and I wrote down some prompts, like how can games help Gimbal Labs respond to our prime driver, or how will AI change games?
Okay.
Oh, here's one that actually. What about games help us build trust? Um, in our room, we talked about a group that was persistent, like that they had us an ongoing group that went on adventures and did role playing games for years. And like, what is it about games that help us to build trust with one another?
You guys been back here for a while?
A little bit.
Yeah, a
We were
little bit.
trying to get a hold of you, so I finally left you.
All right, I think we're back in full strength. So now, hopefully, your mind is filled with, and you've listened to some people, and you've talked about your experiences with games. Let's take another 5 minutes now to write down some topics that came up, and then we'll go through a process of sort of deciding which ones to do, which ones to talk about more. And if you don't remember your room, you can just write down your name above it, or it's rooms super duper. Yeah, the idea of a video game versus uh, a non-video game. And I'm gonna set my timer for 4 more minutes. Let's keep up brainstorming. Yeah. And it is one-to-one time. So feel free to you keep your camera on or off, but to move around to sort of remember that we do have a physical body. I've been really keyed on my eyes lately, so I like to close my eyes and do a little blinking, looking around. Oh, and I do see some new people, so I will copy and paste the Miro board in. Oh, hey, Jonathan. Yeah, language learning games. I'm reading Alex's quote. That was actually a big thing that brought me back to games. Was language learning games. And couple more minutes. I see still some folks typing. And you can look around and see what others are writing. Yeah, let's see. We got a minute left, and I'll start reading off. Online Quake multiplayer. Yeah, man. Yeah, there was something about like playing against NPCs, non-player characters, and other like real people. It was such a mind-boggling thing. There's something about VR. Yeah, first network Doom experience, yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay, so we are coming to an end of that little part. And so looking around there, I'm seeing like what type of things do we want to talk about? We could vote, we could read off some and just see where it takes us. I feel like that might be the best thing. Voting is sometimes fun. I'm not seeing a lot of like Web3. I don't see anything about like NFTs or player content.
That is a hilarious insight.
Yeah. Yeah. Because yeah. So we could talk about it, that the fact that it's not here, because that's one of the things that I was hoping some of the NFT games which would sort of engage with us and like explain, but there's this weird tension, navigate by tension being one of the things. It's like, well, that first iteration of Web3 games, I still haven't played. Raise your hand if you've played like an NFT game. Has anybody played one? Oh, Jonathan has. Oh, okay. Nicholas has.
Yeah, at least the ones I played like last cycle, they were barely games, right? They were mostly some DeFi application, some like staking or coin or reward or something like disguised.
Right.
Under a game that was just mostly like clicking. I'm sure there were good ones. I know of. I lie. I played a good one that was like a trading card game. I
Right.
tested that one for a while, but the other ones, well, yeah, still not ready for
There was
the
one
spotlight.
Cardano Warriors. To me, and I'll share this first. I'll share this game memory. So I was born in 1972. That means that I was like 10 to 14 years old in like high mall arcade time. And there was like pinball and Pac-Man and Centipede and stuff. And then like out in the front of the arcade, there was this game that had 4 different stations on it. And you could play like an archer, a tank. You know, you could see all the different parts. You got a ranged attack, a tank, a like a swords, you know, a DPS, you know, and a spellcaster. And these guys would all get together. And if there wasn't a person there, then the AI, there would be a computer generated helper for you. Nora, do you remember that game? Or I mean,
that was the original Gauntlet, I think.
Gauntlet. That's yes, Gauntlet. And that turned me on to like the collaborative play, because me as like a 10-year-old kid could go in there and I'd learn to play the archer or the spellcaster. And I knew where to be, and I knew, like how to play my character. And people would seek me out and they're like, come on, we're playing, get us in here, because I need you to, take us through this. And that same mechanic of like being a skilled player at a position, just like being on a baseball team, just like being on any other team sport. So it added this team sport to what was up until that point a very solo adventure. Yeah. Did anyone else sort of have those? Like those are the moments. Like that's the feeling I'm trying to get when I get into a game. To be able to like try and fail. There's nothing risk other than I guess in the quarter, a quarter in the arcade or some time, and that was a big deal in World of Warcraft because you've gotten 15 people to show up on a Saturday morning, and if you were the one that caused everybody to wipe and have to do it again, it was tough. It was tough. Yeah, quarter. Yeah, exactly. Quarters became. That might have been one where they've like moved up into 2 quarters, and I was like, doesn't that violate a rule? Like, games are a quarter. Like this inflation. Inflation was happening. Yeah, so there's this big thing about the Web 2 to Web 3 sort of friction. All right, so I feel like it might be time to talk about to ask Federico and Santiago up to talk about their is it a game? Is it a hackathon? Is it a protocol? But it's a learning interaction or learning engagement using game-like mechanics. Santiago, do you want to take us through the TX Pipes Astera?
Yeah, I'll do my best, and that's a good introduction. It's not fair to call it a game. I think it's the main goal is to get developers excited with the UTXO model and to highlight the good properties that UTXOs have, like managing concurrency and this capacity that we have to build a lot of business logic off-chain and just rely on validators on chain. So that's the main idea, because we feel that the entry barrier that Cardano has for new developers is the challenges around understanding and building on top of the UTXO model. It's not the only pain point, but it's top 3 at least. So the idea of Asteria, and can I share my screen?
Oh yeah. Let's see. James, could you
Yep, should work.
Oh, I have a button here. Desktop. Let's try this one. Sorry,
No, I'll here. Let me vamp for just a second while you get started, because I feel that the UTXO model is so different than, I guess, the account balance model, that it does require some rewiring of the brain, like to really think of it in different terms. And when I saw your game, or when I saw this hackathon or this bot challenge, to create, to create something that that works in this model, I felt immediately like, ooh, this could get people to understand that the Cardano or the UTXO blockchains are different, that they are an innovation, and they are sort of a better mousetrap, and that as we scale, and there's things about it that if we learn to work with it really well, then we are part of a innovation and a solution.
Yeah, and this is I think very much inspired on James and Gimbalabs and the idea of learning by doing, because yes, maybe you know a little bit about the UTXO model, you understand the basics, but until you start doing stuff, you don't understand the real benefits, and you also you need some sort of experience to finalize the mental model of how everything works. So this idea that you have the ledger sharded into different units, these UTXOs, that they can all be consumed and evolve at the same time without contention, if you plan your things accordingly, it's something that it's really powerful, but it gets lost when you come from the account model, where you have to go through a shared state, and there is all of the common locking mechanisms around that. So yes, I think that there is a worthy goal to try to push the benefits of the UTXO model to new developers, and we think that some sort of challenge where you get some real rewards, and that it has an appealing mechanic for participating would be an interesting way to do that. So Asteria, the idea is that it is a bot challenge, meaning that to participate as a developer, you need to build a bot. This bot will execute off-chain. It will be an off-chain process, and it will interact with Cardano directly using on-chain validators. So the whole idea is that you have a spaceship, and this spaceship moves in a two-dimension map. It can go up and down, X, Y. Each ship will be represented by UTXO. So when you start playing, you will mint your ship token, and that ship token will live inside a UTXO that it's locked in a contract that we call the space-time contract. That
That's awesome, man. I just want to pause, because that's super cool right off the bat. Okay.
Yeah. I think that
a 2D map where there's a ship token that's inside of a UTXO, and it lives in this map. Okay.
Yeah. So the datum for the UTXO has the coordinates of the ship, and to move through the map, you just need to submit a transaction that consumes that UTXO and puts a new UTXO with the new coordinates. But the space-time contract will constrain you to a certain speed, meaning that you can move whatever you want. You need to be within the limits of the space-time constraints. So in that way, you get to move your ship around the grid. Now, there's another constraint, which is that you need fuel to move. Without fuel, you can move, and the amount of fuel that you need, it's proportional to the distance that you are moving in each step. So for that, you will see that there are fuel pellets scattered around the map, which are represented as a different type of UTXO that has a different token of a different policy ID, which is the policy ID that represents the fuel. So if the coordinates of the ship UTXO overlap with the coordinates of the fuel pellet, there is another contract that allows you to gather that fuel and consume it in a way that it's now part of the ship, and it allows you to keep moving through the 2D grid. The end goal is to reach coordinates 0, 0, which is where the reward pot lives. when your ship overlaps the pods, it gives you permission to claim 50% of the rewards locked in that pod UTXO. So if you're the first one there, you will get half of the total rewards, and the next one will get half of that. The idea is that even if you're not the first one to reach the pod, you still have some sort of motivation to keep going and reaching the center. The way that the pod gets filled with rewards is by minting ships, meaning that when you mint a ship, you will have to pay a certain amount of ADA, and that ADA will get locked in the pod. So there is no fee for playing. There's no protocol level fee of any kind. The idea is for this to be a collaborative effort where the players themselves, they are all improving the amount of rewards in the pod. And that's roughly the idea. There's a lot to unpack, and there's a lot of things that we are still defining and deciding, but yeah, that's the gist of it.
Yeah, and this would be a great spot to pause and see if folks have questions, or if they understand, what's going on. Based on what Santiago just said, does anyone have, and you can raise your hand or just jump in.
I'm curious as to what each of these blocks mean. Like, how does the UTXO, is each of the blocks like one is time and the other one is just wallets? So when UTXO moves from one wallet to another, you're moving to another block. I'm just trying to understand. Yeah.
Yeah, right. So the grid is virtual, meaning that there is no on-chain representation of the grid. It's just a convention. The UTXO, what it has is the datum that provides the coordinates. So maybe here's a diagram that shows a transaction that it's about moving the ship. So you have your ship in this coordinates 1-1. That means that the UTXO, which is locked within the space-time contract, has this datum. When you submit a transaction to move the ship, you will get an output UTXO, but now the datum is changed to the new location. And there's a lot of extra stuff that needs to happen, like fuel consumption and the constraints, but this is roughly what is happening when you move a ship. You're just changing, you're switching one UTXO for another, and if you compare them, you will see that the thing that changed between the two is that the datum now contains the destination coordinates.
It's kind of a
Got it. Thank you.
at that point, right? Each ship is a new one. So it's a Theseus ship, I was saying.
Yeah, it sort of teleports. It's a teleporting ship.
It breaks itself and it becomes a new UTXO. I was wondering about the fuel. Is there like a map, or each time you move, you need to check if you land on fuel or something? Or is there any way of knowing?
Oh, yeah, that's a good question. So when we start the challenge, we as the challenge administrators will submit the UTXOs of the scattered fuel pellets across the grid. But once that is submitted on chain, then it's out of our control, then nobody can change it, and you can just use on-chain validation rules to consume it.
Okay, and I guess your starting position is just randomized.
That's one of the things we are discussing. And if you have any feedback, we have two options. One option is that it is randomized, but that means some sort of off-chain centralized random generator, which is an option, and that can be defined at the minting process. The other idea is that maybe the owner of the ship can decide where to put the starting point of the ship, but with a constraint that it has to be at least at the minimum distance of the center, and that can be constrained by the minting contract.
And then I guess another question would be, how can you prevent like somebody who just figures it out, who knows already, I know how to make this, just to make hundreds of ships? Just is there any restraint on the number of movements?
That would be great, because since each ship has a payment fee that goes directly to the rewards, it means that if you have an abundance of ship, you will get more rewards. And
okay, so
everybody will have the same. Everybody will have the same chances to reach the center. Here, I think that the goal is that you need to think of what sort of path finding algorithm you're going to be using to reach the center, because it's not just about going in a straight line to the center, because you will run out of fuel. So you need to have some sort of interesting algorithms there, so that you plan your path in a way that allows you to not run out of fuel, and at the same time maybe think that other ships might be consuming the fuel that you're going for. So it's not easy. I wouldn't know how to. I'm still thinking on what would be the best strategy, but I'm sure that developers will find very creative ways of doing that.
So we will have. I'm sorry, and that's my last one. So you will have like a starting date or something. So the event will have a date. Okay, awesome, great idea. I love it.
Thank you.
Yeah, I wanted to ask a clarifying question about how you're imagining campaigns. This is something that your team will create a way for a series of these to be launched over time?
Yeah, right. So the idea is to launch a first challenge, but everything will be open source. So if anybody just wants to have a new policy idea and run their own challenges, that will be great. Again, here the idea is to push for the adoption of the model. So the more the merrier. And we are starting to think, we just had a discussion with Pi from Sunday Swap, discussion. We were brainstorming, and he was proposing to maybe have scattered around the map other types of tokens that are more of the collectible nature, meaning rare NFTs that you can collect. So another way to play the game would be not to reach the center, but rather to just gather stuff that it's all over the place, and at specific points in the map put trading stations so that you can have a secondary market. If you go with the ship to one of these trading stations, you can swap these tokens with other ships that are on the same trading station. And we were talking that maybe Sunday Swap could be the one building those trading stations, and obviously open to anyone that wants to participate. But it's a really fun way to understand. I think that the powerful thing here is how you can have all of these ships moving at the same time without generating contention at the protocol level because of how it was organized. That's if we can get that idea across and make that an example, so that other developers coming from the account model can understand that benefit, I think that I would consider the project successful.
You know, so we're planning the next iteration of the Plutus PBL course right now, and this is beautiful, like arriving at the contention issue and arriving at even the ability to build a bot. But even this game board is useful for illustrating some earlier topics. And I can imagine a scenario, you know, in a lot of like multiplayer online games, there's tutorials or sandboxes in which you learn the rules of the game. I can imagine a set of game boards that people can just train their bots on.
Yeah, for sure.
And getting to that point where you can play with that, like even the first time like a PPBL student saw something like this, it wouldn't be about building the bot. It would just be about, hey, here's how to move your piece.
Yeah.
Right. And eventually arrive at this, hey, can you imagine contention when this situation happens? But then getting to the point of automating that transaction building and thinking about a few concepts of chaining and then training a bot to navigate a board. That's I would love for you guys to count on us to do that. That's we can certainly play with this. Not to mention the front end stuff.
The front end stuff is just fun.
Everybody can do that, right? Anybody who can come along and say, here's a way to visualize this. That's
and actually I was going to see if we could open up that front too. If somebody out there wants to build a front end, we can provide some APIs or maybe some instructions on how to index stuff easily. But yeah, it would be really fun to build a real-time board showing little ships with pixel art moving across the board.
Very cool.
That's fantastic.
It's really cool. Just a quick one. There's several similarities that strike me about the experiment that used slime mold to map out the Tokyo rail network. Because this slime mold effectively was put in a petri dish and given oatmeal seeds as its fuel sources, and it would navigate its way and create and the fuel sources represented the Tokyo rail stations, and the slime mold developed this really efficient, more efficient than the humans that had created the network rail system, way of mapping out place to place. So it's almost like you're recreating a game that gets the humans playing as the slime mold, and all about the efficiency of UTXOs, and not overspending or not over creating too many of them when that's unnecessary. And yeah, it's lots of.
That's an interesting analogy. I haven't thought about that, but yes, it's with this.
Like it.
And that's beautiful. Okay, that to me sounds like really fantastic. I'm so glad that that seems like we're resonating. Does anyone else have a comment, and not necessarily a question? Would you be interested in playing this? Do you immediately see like, ooh, couldn't this be fun? Or are you interested in the front end? Any more comments?
I do have one. Awesome game. I came late, but I see that the potential I see is awesome. Amazing TX5 doing their thing, huh?
And innovative, like, have you seen anything else like this that's accessible, that's engaging, that creates what James said about having like new learners, like here's just how to move your piece. And why would you need to create a transaction? Well, I don't want to send any money across. I don't want to, it's like, okay, well, you can get some play money. It's just like, oh, okay. But here is something that you can really dig your teeth into, like what is a UTXO, and then knowing what the datum is, understanding it as a coordinate or some information to exchange or power-ups or special locations. I think that's really phenomenal. I think it's really phenomenal.
So Santiago, can you walk us through the process to sign in and play with it? From the naked eye, someone that doesn't know anything about this, how can we access it just to play with it?
It's still under development, so there's nothing that I can show so far. We are still defining the rule set, and we are working on the on-chain part. For the sign up, the idea would be to build a front end, but obviously if you know how to construct your transactions, you could do it right from the CLI. But we will build a front end for building your ship. If we manage to get time to do this, we will try to do a little pixel art designer where you can design your own ship, maybe from some models, and the hash of those pixels will get stamped somehow into the UTXO so that we can track off chain the icon of the ship for the front end developers that build them up. But anyway, there will be a front end for minting, but once the ship is on the space-time contract, once it's on the board, then it's up for the developer to build their own off-chain process in whatever way they want. If they want to use Python, Haskell, Node.js, whatever, what they need to do is come up with an idea of how to navigate the map and how to reach the center faster than the others without running out of fuel. And for that, you can use, I don't know, machine learning, any kind of path optimization algorithm. Maybe you just want to move with arrows and in the keyboard and be all day navigating the map. It's up for the developer.
That's the best way to replace the typical games that we are playing with, wars and all that. And the other thing is that it's very innovative and then based on learning, so it's perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, Santiago. Super nice. I'm glad I came.
Nice.
Santiago, may I ask you something? to build the transactions and be able to move the ship from some location to the other one. You say we had to unlock a contract and change the position, right? Something like, okay. To do that, we need to be running a local node.
Well, no, that's not mandatory. You can run your own node and use that to read what's happening on the blocks and to submit transactions. But you could use something like Blockfrost, Maestro, or Dimir.run and avoid that and just deal with some of these services that provide you that out of the box.
Thank you.
And Demeter.run is it's a TX pipe product, right? Yeah. Oh man, that's beautiful. Because then you don't need a local thing, and you could get on and probably well within the free tier get in and do these small transactions. It's not heavyweight. You don't have to run it constantly. You can
no, for sure. You should be able to do a lot with the free tier that Demeter provides, and probably get very far. We will be doing a test run on preview and pre-prod, so there you could just play with test ADA and see how your strategy and your bot works before going into mainnet. In mainnet, I think that the cost of the services to submit or to read from the chain would be almost nothing, but you will require to pay the fees for the transactions of moving the ship around, right, on the mainnet challenge.
Okay.
It's already in pre-prod?
No. It's not even developed. It's very early stages. This is a proposal from the last Catalyst Fund that just finished voting a few weeks ago.
Okay. What is the time frame?
The time frame, well, I think it's a total of 5 months, the whole proposal, but the last part is just about collecting metrics of what's happening in the challenge. So before that, we will be able to be on mainnet, and much before that, we will be able to play with something on preview or pre-pro.
Well, I would love to invite you back when to like really keep us in the loop. I know that you will, but I think that it's a great pairing, and I would love to see it, like James highlighted or sort of suggested. It's just like this could be a really fun thing for brand new people to learn.
Yeah, I would be very proud, and I think it would be a great idea if at some point maybe we could have some session around building a bot with Gimbalabs or some of in the playground or in whatever other scenario context you think it's worth it.
Oh man, beautiful. You know, and then allow me to take the mic for a second, because the game can be your one, like a game context. It's just like we're doing something in a game environment, and you've created something that sort of gives working with these transactions and validators and datum and minting and using all this terminology, but in a game context. So the stakes are low. It's easier to collaborate. There's so many things that make it easier and motivate us. And I really, from what I'm hearing, like it could become like where it's an ongoing thing. Like it becomes just a way that people learn this new model. And that I think is a real benefit, of a game. And then, for instance, there could be more of these games, more maps, and like we were talking in our little breakout room about like what makes it engaging, and maybe there are other forms. There's other type of game styles, not just find the center, but like what Pi was saying about like, oh, maybe there's trading that goes on, or special power-ups, or capture the flag, or you know, chase or some, you know, some other, you know, thing could develop from this.
Yeah, one crazy idea would be maybe to explore if this could be used as some sort of airdrop mechanism, where instead of having to have a fee for queue or a max amount of minting per user, maybe some NFT collection that you want to airdrop, you just scatter that across a map, and it's a race to gain to find the that you want, and the best man wins the NFT, the one that reaches
so
first.
Beautiful. Yeah. It to me, it's the type of innovation that I expected, and I'm super happy that it's now happening with this idea of taking those game mechanics, like setting a goal, setting a win state, having a fail state, like running out of fuel, you know, giving power ups, making the front end, making the visual part. You know, that's another part of the games. I wanted to invite I know a couple of visual designer folk that build for game you know, game art, and some people are really into that game art, and they like one really good pixel artist who I'll put in touch. I'm bummed I didn't invite him, but they like that's a whole new thing, and maybe the front end even has like sound effects, like what the game designers call like sauce or juice. You know, you can juice it up, you know, to where it does things. Just there, it seems like the game. Thinking about things in game that doesn't make it less serious is really important for learning and collaboration. And it makes sense to me, and I'm super glad that you've got this, that it got funded. Yeah.
And I think that one final remark on my side, the idea that you need to build something to participate and not just rely on I don't know, some sort of mechanic discipline. I think that's the one very attractive component of the whole thing, because it taps on the essence of developers that just want to build their own thing and compete with algorithms instead of just keywords.
Yeah. I want to tell some personal stories, and we're in the 15 minutes of wrapping up phase. One of the games that we played, it was in Mr. Green's 5th grade class at Christ the King School in Atlanta, Georgia. Look it up. And we did this crate, and he was a wild man. He's totally a wild man. He only taught for like 2 years. He came in, he was totally way off of the rule book, but he created an economy by giving, like, he called them greenbacks, Mr. Green's backs. And you could earn these by like being good in class or not bugging him or whatever. And then, so he had an economy, it was inflationary economy. So we all had these dollars, these printed out greenbacks. And he's like, and you could like staple them to homework so you didn't have to do your homework. And then he's like, I need some way to to get rid of these greenbacks. And so he had this little game where we had these wind-up toys, and we'd put the wind-up toys in the middle of a circle, and whichever wind-up toy got to the end, outside of the circle, was the winner, and then you would get greenbacks or something. And then we started betting on it. Now these are fifth grade Catholic school kids, like betting on wind-up toys, and it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. Unfortunately, he was fired. But there's so much engagement and so much creativity that goes on into it. I really want to support this type of thing moving forward, and I know that it'll be successful, and I'm really looking forward to in the next few months seeing what develops, and hopefully it becomes a model for these types of games. Builder making a bot, because that's what I see. I was like, that little toy was kind of a bot, and that it had an algorithm. Like, I don't know. I want to make that. We're going to be developing the PBL, the Plutus PBL, our flagship project-based learning class, and I feel like that's a project. I feel like that needs to go in the hopper. Like build because we build transactions, yes, and now we can build a bot that makes transactions, or it just can open us up into a lot of different things.
Yeah, that's the other aspect of UTXO that goes pretty much unnoticed, that all of your business logic is outside of the chain, but you keep all of the benefits of security asserts on chain. So your mind is the boundary of what you can build off chain. Your business logic can be done in Python, Rust, Node.js, Haskell, whatever you want, and it can be as complex as putting some sort of machine learning algorithm into the mix, or maybe just using something that it's automated through Twitter sentiment. I don't know. The idea that your business logic doesn't have to live on a Solidity contract inside Ethereum, and that can be outside and can be anything that you want, is also something that gets lost in translation when you're talking to someone coming from the EVM world. So yes,
that's
hopefully
beautiful.
you taps on that benefit of the UTXO model too.
Excellent. All right.
Thinking about, I don't know how big a board is going to be in your guys' model, but I'm thinking about small boards, 5x5 or 8x8, that are solvable puzzles. And how do you create different levels of difficulty for just like some intro level puzzles? Like one would have many solution pathways, but another with one and only one. It's going to be interesting. So if anybody else wants to make a taxonomy of beginner puzzles, be in touch.
Yeah, my mind went directly to that. Yeah, there are a lot of like coding games for kids, where you have to optimize, and maybe you make one token like 2 left, 1 right. So nothing that needs this much abstraction, but making a smaller board, like you have 6 movements to reach whatever you want, and then you have to figure that out. There's like that space-time contract seems like it will be like a very nice like board to build stuff and put all sorts of different obstacles or whatever. Yeah, it sounds really, really good.
I think the space-time contract is like that's just brilliant. That's just absolutely brilliant. And it controls, like, I don't know if you all watch The Expanse, where like the speed limit changes in the, out in the ring and stuff. I hope that was an influence. But that, if you think about the physics of the world, it's just like, inside the game, the game designer can do, that space-time contract. It's a brilliant metaphor. I was intrigued when I read it, and now I'm like, it has my full attention, and I'm glad that you were able to present it in this way, in this context, and I know that we'll get some good things going. Okay, so we've talked a good bit about like how games and with this Web3, that it's a game that teaches us something, and it could lead to things. It like uses the technology to make something super innovative, and that can really help learners, can help kind of create a like a small industry. Not to be too grandiose about it, but all these games started. Right now, I'm watching basketball. It's March in the United States. It's March around the world, but in the United States, that means basketball from where I'm from. And there is this huge, huge economy, and not just like dollars and cents economy, but attention and legend and lore and myth. Like I follow this thing called the Atlantic Coast Conference, the ACC, and they've had this tournament that my grandmother would tell me about. She's like, oh, when they in 57, when they played Indiana, and they did the 4 corners, and she doesn't know anything about basketball, but it was a big deal because somebody, I just listened in the documentary, that somebody filmed it and they made a network for it, and then all of the schools and all the players from each time. So I hope that these small things become big things, and with us all here together, it feels like it could be. With that in mind, I would love to get. We did a check-in round. I would love to get a round. Just a comment or two about the Astera, the TX pipe, UTXO game or this session or anything about games or anything that's gone on. And we'll if you're willing, and you don't have to, you can just say pass or just stay quiet. We'll just go through the list. James, how does that feel? Harshad, how does that feel?
That's awesome. And Harshad didn't have to jump. Yeah, thanks.
He had to jump. Yeah. So I'll go on the order of my my list and I'll paste it in the chat. But James, could you go first?
Sure. Super inspiring stuff. Newman, thanks for organizing this session. Santi, Fede, thanks for joining us today. Great stuff. Really pumped to start playing with this. And it's just one of those moments where the timing feels really good. So thanks, everybody.
Chris, and then Frederico.
Well, this is amazing. Fede and Santiago, congratulations. I love it. I love the idea. It's really good to for education, and I really like it. So I'm looking forward to be able to play this game. I really like it, and I would like to know, hope you let us know when it's available to play. I really like it.
Yes. Frederico and then Jeremy.
Well, thanks, guys, for the invitation. It's great to be at Gimbalabs Space. Chris, we can do some Clayaveras collection afterwards, or some kind of Clayaveras within the game. In some instance, you got a great collection.
I would love it. If you need some help with any graphics, you can count on me. I'm a graphic designer.
Yeah,
so anything
you do. Yeah, you got an awesome collection and awesome work, and of course all this is going to be open, develop on the open world. So we got a channel on Discord on our server on TX5 where discussions are going to take place, and everyone can jump in and be part. So thanks so much, and see you.
Excellent. Thank you. Jeremy and then Jonathan.
That was a lot of fun. I'm definitely leaving here thinking about like one thing in particular. We had our breakout rooms and everybody talked about like memories and what it was, and no Web3 in there. And then we got a presentation on Asteria, and I'm thinking like, what is different? Like not only what is different, what can be different. So that's where my mind's at.
Excellent. Thank you, Jeremy. Yeah, that's beautiful. From the past into the future, and now it's us, right? Jonathan, and then Juan.
Brilliant session. Really enjoyed it. Loved the reminiscing and thinking about it, but also thought it's very timely as well. What with the chain load coming up with the coming bull cycle, and thinking about efficiencies and exactly how to leverage UTXOs better. And in fact, Charles's last video was all about optimization of transactions. So yeah, really great. I think it's hit right just at the right time. I love it. Thanks.
Perfect. Juan, then Ken. Juan might be gone. Yep, Ken, go ahead.
Yeah, it was great. Looks like a really fun way to dive in and figure out the UTXO stuff and see how things work together.
Excellent. Nicholas and then Nori.
There you go. Couldn't find the unmute. No, great. Very happy to have joined. I thought it was too late. It was like an hour and a half already started, but it seems like I was in time for some good stuff still. So yeah, I love the idea of the game. Love it. I went into all the development. Then last year was kind of hectic, and I got a bit away from all the blockchain. But I love the idea. I love to brush up on the Haskell, the stuff. I know guys at TX5 did some more user-friendly or more beginner-friendly things to work with smart contracts. So I'll just join. I already had joined the Discord, but I'll be checking their Discord and stuff, and I'd love to work on it. It sounds very interesting. I'm also a big fan of board games as a hobby, and there are a lot of like legacy board games that modify the state of the board. So there are several ideas that they start evolving that are very compatible with like Web3. So yeah, hopefully I'll be able to spend some time thinking about this and working. It was nice to just join today and kickstart again a new phase of blockchain work. No, it sounds awesome. Yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you, Nicholas. After Nicholas is Nori, and then Santiago.
Great conversation. Thanks for facilitating this, Newman, and thanks everybody for bringing all your different perspectives and viewpoints. That was a really great conversation. Enjoyed it a lot.
Cool. Thanks, Nori. Thanks, Nori. Santiago, and then Sebastian.
Well, thank you very much for having us and for the opportunity to show the idea, explain the idea. I'm glad that that everybody understood it. My main concern here is that it was too abstract to gain any kind of adoption, but it was great feedback, and yes, I feel pumped to keep going on this journey. Thank you.
Sebastian.
Yeah, thank you for the session. This was really great, really good, really good. Yes, video games today are an important piece of the ecosystem, so it's really, really good exploring that part.
All right. Thanks, Sebastian. All right, a wonderful session. I think a really great way of games and learning and building and Cardano and this sort of the UTXO model. And I just I'm stoked that this this alchemy, that this sort of got us here. Hey Juan, I see you're back around. You want to give us some final words?
Thank you, Newman. Well, yes, I'm every day I'm impressed with what you guys are doing there in TXPipe, and I'm very happy that you guys are doing everything in coordination with the Gimbalabs. So it's awesome, awesome to have you around, and yeah, I mean, inspiring. Thank you. Thank you, Newman.
All right, thanks Juan. Thanks Juan. James, is there anything in the final sort of announcements, and then we can let everyone go right on time?
We can let everybody go right on time. Thanks y'all for being here. If anybody is watching this video later, we meet every Tuesday at 1800 UTC. That's UTC time, not your local time. So if you live in a country where you're changing clocks, this meeting is at a different time than it was a few weeks ago for you, but it's pegged to UTC time. So look us up, gimbalabs.com/playground. Newman, thanks for presenting, and here's to the adventures over the next few weeks. See y'all soon.
Thanks, everybody. Bye.
Thanks, everybody.
Ciao.